Hello and welcome back to Mesilat Yeharim with Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto. We are up to chapter 10, coming to a new trait that we should be taking over. It's called Midat Nikiyut. It's the trait of cleanliness or blamelessness, if you go by the translation here. What is really Nikiyut? It's being clean, not physical cleanliness, it's more spiritual cleanliness, being clean from all sin. So we're going to go right into it. It's a new trait we talked about before. We talked about zehirut and zlizut, having fear or awe, and then having zlizut, having a certain fire towards the mitzvot of God. Now we come to a new trait, it's called nikiyut. It's called cleanliness. Midat nikiyut hi hayot ha'adam naki legamri mikol midah ra'a mikol chet. The trait of cleanliness is when a person is totally clean from anything that is evil or anything that is sinful. Lo dai mima she'achet bo mefusam begalui, and it's not just something that it's already seen, where the sin, you know that a sin is bad. Let's say stealing, we know, do not steal. It's a bad sin. But also the things that your heart, your desires, you would think that maybe I can make some logic that it's okay to do these sins. So those things that your ta'ava, your desires, your lusts, make you think in these ways that you might think that maybe it's okay for me to do these things, but it's really not. And once you really investigate and see that it really isn't part of what you should be doing, that's when you know. But because of the ta'ava, the lust that you have, you won't be able to stay away from those things. So nikiut is staying away from everything. The galui, the revealed sins, and the concealed sins too. The things that your heart gives you heterim, gives you permission to do these things, but it's not really true permission. You're not supposed to be doing these things. Because he's not totally clean from his ta'ava, his lust, his lustful desire. So that's why he'll keep on being lustful towards these things, because he's not really going in. A person should be going in and investigating, is this really what I should be doing? A person who really has true cleanliness from all evil and all the touches of evil, that everything that the evil touches, like lust and desire that they shouldn't have, his sight will be clear and his vision will be pure. And his lust and his desire won't take him to a place that he shouldn't be. Anything that is sin, even the smallest of sins, he'll see that it's evil and he'll go away from it. He'll stay away. And so like this, the Chachamim, the sages say on the people who are completely pure and who are completely clean in this sense. What did they say? Nikiyei Adat Shebirushalayim. They call them the men of Nikiyei Adat, the cleanly minds that are in Jerusalem. Masechet Sanhedrin. Now you see, so now we're going to explain. You might ask, what's the difference between being zahir, being careful, and being having cleanliness? What's the difference? Because it kind of seems the same. One is staying away from sin, and the other one also seems like it's staying away from sin. So now we have to understand. They're really close in their ideas. The thing is, by zahir, by being vigilant, by being careful, it's about staying away from the things that you already see. Making sure you're staying away from those sins that you already know are existing. But he's not master over himself. He doesn't control himself. To control his natural desire, his physical desires. In the things that you might think that these evil things that aren't really known things, you might think that they're okay to do. So the ta'ava, the lust, the desire that he has might take him towards this path. And so just by being zahir, without being naki, without having this cleanliness, it's not a full avodat Hashem, it's not a full service of God. So what is nikiyut? So now we say another point on how zehirut is not enough. It's a good midah, but you need also nikiyut. It's because he'll try as much as he can to overcome his yetzer, overcome his his yetzer hara, and to overcome his desires. Just because he's trying as hard as he can, it doesn't mean that he'll be able to take it away from himself, to take it away from his heart, these lustful desires. He has to overcome and go towards wisdom. That's the only thing he can do. Go towards logic according to Avodat Hashem, the service of God. The darkness will use any tactic it can to overcome whatever he's trying to do, and will try to seduce him. But a person who's it's become regular for him to be zahir, it's become regular for him to be careful from everything, from all sin, that he's totally clean from all the known sins. Although mefusamim means famous, but the things that are known to him, the things that you can see with your eye, that you know that you are doing, to stay away from those. Once he becomes regular in that act by staying away, and then he increases and becomes regular in zlizut, like we said, the second step, with ahava, with love and a desire for the Creator. This regularity, this having a sense of sort of a habit, being yirah and ahava, zirut and zrizut, fear and love towards the Creator. Once he has that habit, then he can actually go towards the right sense of mind, towards the full capacity that his soul is supposed to have, until he can reach the full cleanliness. Because once that happens, once that act of fear and love, of vigilance and having that looking for that next step in the service of God, once that becomes habit for him, then the fire of his lust in his body will totally turn off, and it'll only have the desire towards the Creator. And then his sight will be pure and clean, like it said before. So that once that happens, once that becomes habitual, the first two traits that we talked about, once those become a habitual part of his life, then he can totally overcome any darkness, any evil, and he will be totally clean in all his acts. And this trait, nikiut, cleanliness, what did David HaMelech samech ba'atzmo ve'omer? He says about himself, David HaMelech, elchatz b'nikion kapai v'osevat miskuchecha Hashem, in Tehillim, in Psalms. I'll wash my hands in cleanliness, and I will go around your altar, Hashem, the Creator. Ki be'emet rak mi she'inakeh legamre mikol nidut chet ve'avon. Only a person who's totally clean from any type of sin or crime to God, is a person who can really behold God. The translation is behold God, or really see what Hashem is, really see what the Creator is. Because otherwise he can only be ashamed. If he's sinning, how can he be not ashamed in front of God? Like Ezra Sofer says, Elokai boshti v'nichlamti la'arim Elokai penai elecha. Ezra Sofer says in Ezra, I'm ashamed and I can't even turn my face towards you, God. Because once a person sins, it's as if it's totally embarrassing towards God. He sinned towards God. How is it possible to face him? And it's true, it's a very big, it's a lot of work to attain this trait, to reach this level. Because the ones that we already know, the sins that we already know that you're not supposed to do not steal, do not murder, these things are easy to stay away from, right? We already know how to do these things. But what about things that we don't know we're doing? Things that we're hiding, let's say, things that we think are okay, and we don't even realize we're doing something wrong. Because the things that we already know are easy, do not steal, do not murder, those things are galui, they're revealed. We know what we're doing. Like, let's say we see somebody stealing, you know that's not right. That's do not steal. The thing for nikiyut is it's much harder. Because your lustful desire will give you heterim. It will give you certain explanations or excuses of why you should be doing these things. כמו שכתבתי, like I said before. Like the sages say, עבירות שאדם דש בעקביו סובבות אותו בשעת הדין. The sins that a person basically steps under his ankles, those are the ones that will surround him in the time of din. What does that mean? It's the sins that we don't really think that they're that bad. The sins that we think it's okay. I don't have to be nice to my friends all the time. I don't have to give tzedakah today. The things that we think are not such a big deal, those things are actually the ones that surround us in the times of judgment. In Masechet Avodah Zarah. And so the sages say again, Rubam begazel umiyotam be'arayot v'chulam be'avak leshon hara. Most people fall into the sin of theft, and some people go into relations that are not okay. But everyone falls into the evil tongue, leshon hara, speaking evil speech. And so it's the thing that nobody would think that's such a big problem, leshon hara. So how can they say this in Masechet Baba Batra that leshon hara is such a big deal? So these are the things that really, they're the ones that we have to be naki from. They're the ones that we have to be clean from. Clean ourselves from these things. Because it's so subtle, these little sins, that we don't even realize what we're doing. And so that's how it really captures us. That's how we fail. It says in the Zohar that David HaMelech was careful and he would clean himself totally, nakiyon gamur, from everything, from all sins. So David HaMelech would go to war as the king, as a warrior king. He would go to war with full certainty, full faith, and he would ask, Eldof oivai b'asigem velo ashuv ad kalotam. He says in Tehillim, I will go after my enemies and I will catch them, and I will not return until they're finished, until they're consumed, until they're destroyed. He had this amazing bitachon because he was clean from all sin. What the other Nevi'im, Yehoshaphat, Asa, and Chizkiah asked, they weren't as pure, they weren't as clean. In the Midrash of Echa, which we're coming on Tisha B'Av in a few days. So it says also in Tehillim, David HaMelech, the Lord will reward me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanliness of my hands, He will recompense me. So this is just another example. So you see all these examples of David HaMelech. He had this bitachon, this certainty, this faith, but it's not the bitachon is the goal. It's the fact that he's clean, he's naki from every sin, from any thought, action, words of sin. So that's why he had the bitachon. But how did he get there? He was naki. He was totally clean. He also said, Ki becha arutz gedud, uvelokay adleg shur. Eldof ovai ve'asigem velo ashuv ad kalotam. The same pasuk we quoted before. V'hu atzmo amar od mi ale behar Hashem u'meyakum b'mkor kodsho niki kapayim uva levav. So it's one of the psukim, it's a famous pasuk. Who will go up to the mountain of God and who will come to the place of His holiness? The person who is totally clean in his hands and has a pure heart. A person who's totally clean of sin. So that's why David HaMelech had this bitachon, because he was totally clean from the sin. So the Ramchal is telling us, and he's saying it's true. It's a hard trait to attain. You can't. It's very hard. You can't do it alone. You need help. Kiteva adam chalash. A person's nature is weak. V'libo nifteh al nakala. And he's very evil. It's very easy to seduce him. And it's easy for a person to sin because he can make himself excuses on why it's okay to do these things. He can say it's okay, it's fine, it's not that big of a deal. A person who's already reached this level is already on a high level. It's a huge level. Because he stood in front of a war and he won. He won that war. And so the next few chapters is going to be about these traits of the trait of nikiut, the trait of cleanliness. So what do we take from this? So we have to be in a mindset where he says in the chapter, first we have to have the two traits that we said as a habit. Zirut and zrizut. Yira'ah and ahava. Fear and love. Those two traits can once you make those habitual, we can have a sort of boost to take this to the nikiut and to be totally clean of sin, especially with Tish B'Av coming up and Rosh Hashanah coming up. We want to totally be clean of sin this year. So B'ezrat Hashem, with the help of the Ramchal, we can reach this level together, and we should all be pure and clean with nikiut. Thank you.